The volcano tormenting Guatemala has claimed dozens of lives, and emergency crews are scrambling to keep the death toll from rising.
The Fuego volcano roared back to life over the weekend. 62 people now confirmed dead. Have a look at that video. We still don't know how many might be missing in all of that.
A river of lava and blankets of smoke and ash, burying entire communities there and catching millions off guard. These images that you're looking at are almost apocalyptic as people try to outrun that menacing cloud behind them.
And it travels at extraordinary speed as well. This volcano west of Guatemala's capital is one of Central America's most active. And while it seems to have quietened down for now, the danger far from over. Fleeing for their lives, many on foot, residents living near Guatemala's volcano of fire say they were caught off guard. In one village, a woman covered in ash tells emergency workers she ran as lava poured into cornfields. In another nearby town, a distraught mother tells of her escape and her desperate search for her children.
I left home and walked along the alley to go to the shops when I suddenly realized the lava was coming down and seeping through the plots of land, the highway, and down next to the water tank. It came down into the alley and up. It came right up to us. We managed to escape through the San Miguel estate. I only managed to find 2 children alive last night, but my 2 female daughters. My grandson and my son are missing, together with my entire family.
Amateur videos show people racing away from what's called pyroclastic material, a flow of ash and lava particles and vapor. Such clouds are often extremely hot and they move extremely quickly, sometimes as fast as a commercial airliner. And they can reach for kilometres away from the volcano. Emergency workers face a roadblock of steaming lava and debris, carefully skirting the flow as they search for survivors and victims. Rescuers worked into the night, recovering some people with severe injuries and a number of bodies of those who were not able to outrun the deadly eruption. Sometimes using heavy construction equipment to clear the debris. With daylight, they carefully sift through steaming debris, hoping to recover the bodies of some of those who did not escape. All the while being threatened with more activity from the volcano, working under difficult and dangerous conditions.
The challenge we've faced is that the volcano has been active and also working with this kind of material, which is extremely hot. That makes the work of rescuers even more difficult because we are talking about temperatures of about 30 degrees Celsius, still felt on the ground while we work.
But more volcanic activity on Monday sends people fleeing again. Residents run down the street shouting, "The lava is coming." Emergency workers also forced to evacuate the area. Thousands have now been displaced from this area, emergency shelters set up where authorities are working to help people find loved ones. Rescuers will have to continue to search for the missing and the dead, as experts say the threat from the volcano of fire continues.
Last hour, we spoke to a volcanologist from Concord University and asked what, if anything, can one do to survive a sudden eruption?
Get out of valleys. These things usually flow down valleys. They can overtop the edges of them as well, but the most dangerous areas around this volcano are the valleys.
That's good advice. I'm wondering, you're a volcanologist, is it possible to predict, because this has been a very active volcano, it has activity routinely, but not like this. Is it something that can be predicted, or is this just Mother Nature at work?
Sometimes, but it's very complicated because each volcano has its own personality. So every volcano has a different lead up to an eruption. And while they give us signs, it's not going to tell us necessarily when it's going to erupt, how big the eruption is going to be, or how long the eruption is going to last.
The Fuego volcano stole some attention from Hawaii's Kilauea, whose dramatic eruptions have captivated the world for weeks. Thankfully, no one has been killed there.
Or at least not yet, and hopefully it stays that way. And that's because Kilauea's mode of destruction is lava, like we've been seeing now for weeks. Fuego, on the other hand, unleashed a mix of ash, gases and rock, which tends to be more dangerous because it cannot be outrun.
Kilauea's lava, however, is still swallowing homes there. Scott McLean shows us where it's heading.
We have confirmation that the lava is reaching the ocean, and this means two things. First off, it means that everyone on the south side of this part of the Big Island, where you see those trees, where you see those oceanfront homes and cottages, they are essentially cut off from the rest of the island. On one side, they have the Pacific Ocean. On the other side, they have what is essentially a river of molten lava. And this white smoke that you see, that is a sign of where it's entering. It's lava haze you're seeing, or laze. It is a potentially deadly mixture of gases, hydrogen or hydrochloric acid, steam, and tiny bits of glass as well. It is really a nasty mix that you don't want to be around. You can also see that dark smoke there over to the right side. Those are houses burning, structures. Keep in mind, this is an entire neighborhood. This is the Kapoho Vacation Land area, and there are several hundred homes, several hundred cottages. All of them most likely will be in the way of the lava at some point, because this entire stretch is about a half a mile wide, and really it has nowhere else to go but through these homes. We know that there are about a dozen people. There were about a dozen people over the weekend who were stranded on this south side. 3 of them were rescued, and so now there may be about 9, but there is no water on that side. There is no power on that side. There's no cell phone service. There's no landline service, and so there's no way to communicate with these people or to know exactly where they are. Authorities, they're doing regular flights over the area to look for any signs of distress, smoke signals. Maybe someone has written SOS on their roof or on their lawn, any signs of looking for help. But for the meantime, those people are cut off and they really have nowhere to go.
Oh, Scott McLean reporting there. Guatemala, of course, is a different kind of volcano and a different kind of threat.
And even though Fuego appears to have calmed down, at least for now, another dangerous problem may be looming. Tom Sater is here with more on that Guatemala volcano, which we now know is a
stratovolcano. Yeah, it traps pressure. In Hawaii, it's called a shield volcano. As you mentioned, it's more about lava. But the thing is about this, even though they may have another eruption, and probably will, the big threat right now in the next, I'd say, 48 hours is rainfall. Because we've got a tropical system that's developing off the coast, and with all that debris and that ash, it could really cause some problems.
It's like it turns into concrete, doesn't it?
Yeah, after it flows down further into villages. So that's the concern. Let's talk about this, because many are wondering, why did we have the earthquakes and the tremors like in Hawaii to give us some sort of indication this was going to happen? Every volcano, as we heard, is different, and that's not always the case. However, this has been active since 2002. It's been continuously erupting since the beginning of 2017. So they've been through many eruptions, not on this scale. So you're wondering, well, why are they still even around the area if it's been continuous erupting? You can see it on satellite. See that little brown plume? I mean, for it to show up on a satellite, you know, that is so far away, you know it was massive. And that's an interesting note. Now, since the year 1580, we've had 79 eruptions. The worst was in 1974. But what we do not see in Hawaii are these pyroclastic plumes going down the side of the summit. And you can even see now, a day and a half later, after, of course, the eruption, what these are looking like. I can even show it to you, and we'll get in a little closer with Google Earth. There are several in the areas. This is one of the most active in all of Central America. And by looking at Google Earth, and you can see where Fuego is here, notice the old scar marks, the old pyroclastic scar marks. And notice down just below the screen here is a town called El Rodeo. That's the one that was destroyed. But by looking at these old scars, you get an idea of what the next problem may be. Let me show you some video and you get an idea of what they're dealing with. It just came in about an hour ago. When you look at some of this debris, and of course not just the ash, but all the boulders and everything that come down the mountainside in toward these villages, this is what can be a problem when you add a lot of water. When we go back and look at the graphics, here here's our concern. Last week, we just had our first named tropical system in the Atlantic. This could be the first named in the East Pacific. Look how far away it is from Guatemala. So you're like, well, that's not a concern. It's about a 90% chance of development pushing up to the north and the northwest toward the coast, to say off of Puerto Vallarta. But it's going to pull in moisture on the trail end of this, and therefore, with the high terrain, it will indicate much more rainfall totals than you would expect. When you get areas that are going to get 100, maybe 150 at that high rate, those are the lahars. That's the debris that'll flow down in from, of course, the volcano. So that is a big concern. When you got rain in the forecast and thunderstorms, Bianca and Michael, every day for the next couple of days, that's our next threat, the immediate threat right now.